Hey everyone, welcome back. This is episode 10 of our JavaScript interview preparation series, and today we are decoding one of the most misunderstood word in entire JS language, that is this keyword. First we'll understand what is this keyword. Like basically the keyword this in JavaScript always refers to an object, but which objects depend on how and where the function is called, not where it's written. Now let's understand the purpose of this keyword. JavaScript gives you this to make your function reusable across object. Instead of hard coding an object name, you use these to dynamically refer to the one that's calling the function. Here we have one single function and we have two objects. Here this keyword changes based on who calls it. Here's the magic. If you run this one, you can see hello, build heaven, dev and John. Like using one function only, we can reuse. This is the beauty of this keyword. We will see more. Now our second part is this keyword in global context. Outside of any function in the browser, this point to the window object. In Node.js, it's point to the empty object. Now let's run and check. If you see here, we have console, this equal to window and this. If you run this one, you can see, yeah, this equals to window object is true, and this points to the window object in the browser. Now as we talked, like if you check in the Node.js, let's run in the Node.js also. If you run this one, you can see here there is empty object. Now we'll move to regular function and dynamic binding. What do you think, what will be the output for line number 21 and 23? Here we have called object.show and here you have called ref. Let's run and check. The first one, it was printed heaven, and the second one, it was giving the undefined or empty things, we can say. You can see nothing was print. Like why it was happening, like when you called object.show, that time this refers to the object, but in the second time when you assign to ref and call standalone, this fallbacks to the global scope, and in the global scope the name was not there. So that's the reason it was giving undefined or empty. That's why interviewer often asks this question. Now we'll understand arrow function. Arrow function behave differently because they don't have their own this. They capture this from the scope of where it was defined. Here we have one team object and we have two functions. One is regular function, another one is arrow function. Can you guess it, like what will be the output for these two lines? Let's run and check. For the first one, it was showing the, which is our regular function build and dev, and the second one is, which is arrow function, it was showing undefined. The arrow function grabs these from the global scope because it was created there only, not inside team. That is the reason that this title was undefined. So arrow function are great when you want to inherit this from, but terrible when you need your own this. Now another classic interview output based question. So what do you think, what will be the output for this? What we have done here, we have created one object and there we have one outer function and we have one inner function. This is basically a nested function and we call here outer, object.outer. What do you think? Will it be hello build heaven dev or it was undefined? If you guessed it out, let's run and check. See, it was showing undefined or empty. It was showing empty, nothing was printed. If you run here also, it was showing undefined, nothing was printed. Inside inner, this no longer refers to this object. Inside inner, this no longer refers to this object. That is the reason it was showing undefined. So if interviewer asking how you can solve this problem, there is one very simple way to just convert this inner to arrow function. If you convert this inner to arrow function, your problem is solved. Now if you run this one, you can see this build heaven dev, because arrow function does not have their own this context, so it can refer or it can borrow from the outer or lexical scope. That is the reason it was working fine. Now our next tricky question is, there is one object there when we have one key called data and we try to just console.log that one. So now what will be the output? Now this solely arrow function. So what do you think? Let's run and check. It was showing undefined because arrow function inherit this from the outer scope. Now here outer scope is the global scope. This data key is not present. That is the reason it was showing undefined. I hope you understood. Now what we will do is we will move to the next question, next output based based question which is very important. What do you think? What will be the output for this? Let me give you a hint that arrow function works same in classes also. Like what is there? Like arrow function still capture their this from the outer scope. Now can you tell me what will be the output for these two? One is the print, another one is print fix. So in the print it was basically a normal function, and in the print fix it was basically arrow function. Now tell me if you guessed it out. Let's check. Yeah, for the normal function it was not showing anything or undefined, and in the arrow function it was showing build heaven dev, just because it here in the classes also it's working same, like basically the outer function capture from the outer parent. But in the when we are talking about this, the normal function, it basically capture from the global scope which is not present in the name. That's why it is showing undefined. If this helped you finally understand this, please hit the like button and subscribe to us. We'll see you in the next episode.